Yep, so my name is Roy. I'm with Influence Mobile. It's a really fun place that I work at. The culture is awesome, and basically, well, we reward you for playing games on your devices. Isn't that cool? Anyway, so yep, let's get to it. We're doing a robot framework, a quick start to automation testing. Let's go, let's do this. All right, what is robot framework? All right, so it is Python based. Yay. And the history behind it is that it's actually developed by Nokia, and specifically, actually they were doing a lot of the network testing. So yeah, we're talking about like IP addresses, their switches, etc. Yeah, so primarily they built it for doing the automated network testing. Basically, so what really is Robot Framework? So it is a library, uses Python. So yeah, you have to sadly install Python on whichever system that you're gonna do Robot Framework with. And so it's an automation script and it wraps the Python. So it kind of obfuscates or so let me put it this way. If you're not a super fan of Python or like still learning Python, it's okay. You basically will be learning the Robot Framework script language, which is, I feel kind of a lot easier actually. And here's the thing: is I feel like from my years of using it, it's almost like a one-stop automation, and it does the execution run summary framework. So yeah, it's nice that we automate stuff like, oh yeah, it tests like 100 test cases in what, like let's say like 3 minutes or something like that. But you want to know like the end result, like how many % pass, how long did it take to run the automation, etc. So Robot Framework like packages everything like really nicely, and we'll see some demos later. All right, why choose Robot Framework? Numero uno, number one, open source, copyleft. So you're saving your company money. Did I get it right? Yeah, you're saving your company money because it's open source. You don't have to pay for it. Yay! So it's free, like I mentioned here, it's free, but if you get a chance to write additional like Python scripts that will help enhance Robot Framework, yeah, go ahead and like contribute back to the open source environment. Again, developed by Nokia. I'm trying to think, like, was this 2016 or probably like even earlier? I think maybe 2006. I could be wrong. I need to check my facts. But yeah, it's pretty extensive. The library and the support help documentation that they have, yeah, it's pretty extensive, and you can find a lot of answers like from their official guides, etc. But even if not, there's always Stack Overflow. Just saying. Okay, so next item, yeah, relatively I found it easy to learn the scripts. So if you already have like Python knowledge, that could be helpful. But then in general, jumping to Robot Framework, their documentation and the way that they write and explain all of their functions, methods, etc., is relatively easy and fast to learn. And here's the hot button words that we hear these days, like the CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous development. And also the fact that it can be Dockerized. So you can actually package, so well, it's Python, but then Robot Framework then wraps the Python, and you can go ahead and actually Dockerize it. So Docker containers are super easy to deploy, well, depending on who you ask. But yeah, in general, you can Dockerize it, and you can deploy it, and then it works well with GitHub Actions. Or any of you who are like in GitHub Actions or GitLab, being a rebel, do the GitLab CI/CD. You can do it with Jenkins. So it fits like pretty seamlessly with the CI/CD. And the fun thing about Robot Framework is that from executing Robot Framework itself, it can actually reach out to multiple other systems, basically. And so comes the next point of the multiple remote concurrent runs. So you can actually just go ahead and send out the commands to all of your mobile devices or other systems, etc., basically, and tell them, hey, go ahead and run this test case. So almost like from the get-go, simultaneous runs can be done, basically, concurrent simultaneous runs. Data-driven capability. Okay, so this is like one of those like fun interview questions, right? You got the login screen, you got username and password. Immediately already you're thinking like, oh wow, I can flash out so many test case scenarios, right? So in order to run, again, the power of automation when you do it correctly is that it runs fast and it can run like a lot of like the mundane tests that you need to do, right? So when you have it like data-driven, yeah, you can like run through multiple login scenarios, etc., multiple like usernames and passwords, or even invalid usernames and passwords, which we will see in a little bit in the demo video. Gherkin friendly, given when, and then, finally, we like those stuff, right, from Gherkin, yep. So robot framework, you can definitely write it in a Gherkin format, basically. And the devil in the details, which you'll see in a little bit, is in the resource.robot file, where that's more of like the technical scripting portion. So think of it this way, Gherkin friendly. So you could actually almost have, if you're lucky enough, if you have a business analyst with you, they can actually write that first portion, given when, then, and then finally. And then you as the SDET or QA automation engineer, you can then go into the resource.robot file and actually write the more detailed scripts, basically, to actually run the show behind it. And again, communication is paramount, very important. So robot framework, once when it's done running, it actually spits out an HTML, I think with CSS. I believe it has like the CSS and the JavaScript behind it. So it punches out 3 items. It punches out an output.xml. It has an executive summary, and then there's a log.html, which has like all the devil in the details, which we'll see in a little bit. So again, communication is important. So executive summary, so if you're going to your QA manager or like higher up, middle, or even like even higher up, basically, so you need to show them saying, hey, look, QA is important. Look, see, we're able to run 100 test cases in 20 seconds, and this is the pass rate. These are the areas that we always fail, that we need to pay attention to, that we need to focus on, basically. So that's what executives want to see, or like people who do not need to know the nitty-gritty stuff. Then amongst us, QA, dev, etc., when you see a step that fails or somewhere that fails often, or if you're running the code and you're wondering, like, okay, why the heck does it keep failing at this particular spot when I'm trying to click this element right here? What the heck? So that's when you need to go into the log, and it shows you the devil in the details. All right. So common use cases. So these are the ones that I've experienced and have used, and some actually I'm like still new or haven't quite explored, and I will be exploring pretty soon in my own journey. So yeah, pretty much, robot framework talks to like anything and everything that you need to test. So we're talking about sort of kind of hardware, firmware testing. So that's mostly the command line. Then we're going to do like a website. So yeah, robot framework will talk to Selenium. It will then talk to your web pages that you need to test. Anyone here doing smart devices, IoT? Hands up. Yep, there we go. Yeah. So pretty much like MQTT is the broker, so you can actually go ahead and do automated testing. And again, it's mostly all command line stuff. So yeah, so what I'm saying is that robot framework can leverage the MQTT broker, the message broker, basically, to do all your IoT like testing, basically. Then of course Appium, everybody has a smartphone. You got your games or devices, etc., with the apps on it. Yeah, so. Pretty much it's robot framework will talk to Appium, and then you'll talk to your mobile device, basically, to do your testing. SQL, database, so again, all the different like components that you could think of to test. You want to test your database, robot framework has the library to be able to talk to SQL. Mine specifically, I did was actually AWS Redshift. It's an AWS Redshift database, and I was able to go ahead and run like multiple queries, etc., and do the testing that you need to do. So again, like what I mentioned earlier, so when it comes to firmware or anything that's non-GUI based, yeah, this is like the number one that I kind of shifted my focus on a little bit. SSH and general like a command line interface. So that's when you're typing like Linux commands pretty much. And let me think of a good example for this one. So this was actually with testing with T-Mobile. There were at least like 170 configurations on their enterprise internet gateway. So if you were to type 170 commands basically and then like do it manually, you'd be like, oh my God, this is like gonna take forever. I would say, I think from what I've seen on average, 170 command lines for that configuration testing. I think it got done within like 15 minutes. Yeah. So unless you're like Superman, you're typing really fast. Yeah. We want to do like automation if you can. And API testing, yes, Robot Framework does have libraries for API testing. This is new to me. I haven't explored it, but I think I will be doing that like pretty soon in my journey. All right, pros and cons. Ooh, so I'm gonna try and sell like the good stuff about it, and then the cons, the boo-boo that I've like kind of noticed with it. The pros about it, relatively speaking, I would say it's easy to learn, relatively good documentation. I'm doing the Dr. Evil finger quote, air quotes. Good documentation because it does, when you get a chance to go have a look at the documentation, it does show you like the details of like how to structure the syntax. However, maybe because it's like my style of teaching and learning is a little bit different, I kind of learn from example. So each of them, they kind of explain to you the small mini Lego blocks. So that's why I say it's good documentation, so you get to go to the nitty gritty. But then if you're gonna go ahead and develop something that's like end to end, yeah, then you kind of have to like think a little bit harder and go like, okay, which command or which like module do I need to call when I'm doing my coding? So quick to code and deploy, yeah, so because it's easy to learn, so you pretty much will be able to pick it up like relatively fast. And then like what I mentioned earlier, CI/CD, Jenkins, or being able to Dockerize it. So I would say like, let's say if you're starting from scratch, like within a week, I would say if you learn it like fast enough, within a week you can be up and running. I would say almost actually end of like day 2, you'll be able to be like up and running even as a proof of concept. So, and typical QA, we have like test suites and test tags, right? So let's say, for example, you want to test only the login portion. So when you issue the robot framework commands, you can say, hey, okay, let's go ahead and do like the login test only. I don't want it to go like to do the full happy path. So you have like test tags on it, and if you separate like test suites, like certain areas that you want to test that you can ask robot framework to do specifically. Oh, and I already mentioned containerized and being you're able to add it to the CI/CD, and then it's platform agnostic. So because it's Python, yeah, you name it. On a Mac, you're good. On a Windows, you're good. On a Linux, you're good. On Sun System, Microsystem, Unix, I would say maybe good. I haven't done in Unix yet, so I can't vouch for that. All right, cons. Haha. All right. Cons. So yeah, so you definitely will be learning a new scripting language. So those who are from old school, like are you a Ruby developer, are you a Python developer, etc. Robot Framework is Python based, so it kind of would help if you have like some Python knowledge. But even if not, no biggie. So the only thing is just know that you'll be learning a new scripting language. Now, what else? So let's say if you're already in an existing organization that already has your automation framework, yeah, there will be resistance somewhat to introduce something else that's different. So yeah, there's a potential conflict for like introducing a different automation framework, and then you got to sell it to them basically. Another interesting thing. So when you're using robot framework, you have to be careful in the sense that when you're first starting out like proof of concept, yeah, it's okay to just code and if like something fails, that's the problem. When it fails, it kind of trips over itself, and then all of the other test cases will not be run. So you have to be very careful. Make sure like once when you pick up robot framework, you actually look at it and go like, oh, okay, I might want to do like a try catch or try except block is how robot framework does it, so that probably you want to go ahead and like fail the test case, but at least put out a warning and then let it continue going on to the next few steps, so it doesn't trip on itself basically, and it just like fails everything else. And of course, yeah, my favorite, typical setup challenges. Yep, like a new machine. Let's say if your machine died, yeah, it'd be like back to basics. Okay, you gotta set up my Python. Like what Python version do I have? Okay, gotta set up all my robot framework libraries stuff. Putting in your bash, your shortcut, because if not, then you'll be typing like Python 3 minus M, and then robot, and then the whole command line basically, versus like robot, and then you go ahead and execute a robot file. All right, I'll try to deep dive a little bit, not too much. I'll try to deep dive again because this is an intro. So like what I mentioned earlier, like some of the common ones that we would use. So like Selenium is one of them. All right, let's have a look. So the basic pieces of it is that, so you have your main, so I call this like this is in the sample that they have in Robot Frameworks, robotframework.org. They have like invalid login.robot. So this is like the main, I guess this is the main robot file that you want to run, basically. And then you have over here the resource.robot that you would point from the main invalid login robot robot file. So let's have a look at it real quick. So the main pieces of it is that you have your settings, you have your test cases, and you have your keywords. For the most part, actually, most of these like keywords actually can reside in the resource file, resource.robot file. And yeah, then that's where like the delve in the details. So that's where, as a QA automation engineer or as an SDET, this is the part where most of your work, most of your understanding of robot frameworks, syntax, this is where it will go in. And then again, like I said, if you have like a product owner who's kind of savvy enough and or a business analyst who can help you write the gherkin, they can actually do like a little bit of this portion here. We will visit like one gherkin example in a little bit. Okay, so you have your test cases here. So this is invalid login. What's going to happen is that it's going to go to a web page, basically. Again, username, password right there. And then, so you're going to think of all the scenarios when you have invalid logins. So let's just go through it like real quick. So we got invalid username, but you actually have to have a valid password on there. Yeah, invalid password, invalid both for the username and password, empty on the username, empty on the password, and empty on both of the fields, basically, and give it a try. So of course, all these three will fail. So that's why it's called invalid login. And then the keywords over here, so login with invalid credentials should fail. So that is your test template right here. So you actually can use a test template. Typical in Python or pretty much like any coding language. Code once, use everywhere, as much as you can. So yeah, so this is pretty much, I would probably call this like the method like that you call into login with invalid credentials should fail. Yep, and that will call in over here. So all of these guys, all these test cases, boom, line 17, yeah, line 17 all the way to line 22. Yeah, it'll keep calling like in over here. Now, the devil in the details, resource. So in your settings, you have your resource here. They will call into your resource.robot. So yeah, this is where I haven't quite fully figured out like this part in the sense like, like passwords and secret stuff. Probably you don't want to commit that into your Git repository because, it's sensitive stuff, it's password. But pretty much all of these are the variables that you're going to use. So again, almost like code once, use everywhere. So once when you've defined your variables right here, so for example, for the server, so this is the web server, is hosted locally, so you have it at the local host at port 7272. And then since it's Selenium, we're going to do web browsers. Yeah, so we can do, okay, here's the fun part, and we will see this in the video demo in a little bit. So you can do like full on if you want to see the web page actually launch, and then open up the URL and like start testing your elements. We have that, so that's like regular. You can do like Firefox, Chrome. I would pretty much say like all of the main like major web browsers. And then of course we have the headless. I'm a little bit rusty. I know for a fact that headless Firefox is available. Chrome, I believe they do have it also. And then, yeah, again, these are all the variables that you can define. So delay, this is more like your Selenium delay, like how fast like each of the test steps are going to be like executed. So it's more like the Selenium like delay, pause between each of your test steps or your test scripts, basically. Right, and then we have a valid user, valid password. So this one will be for the different scenario when you actually have a valid username and password. So it's demo and mode. Don't use that password. It's not secure. All right. So then next one again, yeah, like more like variables. As soon as you define it, you can call it and use it anywhere. And how they do it is that it's actually with a $ and curly braces. That's for variables in Robot Framework. Okay. So in the keywords, so. For all of you who are more familiar with the traditional like Ruby or Python, etc., you'd have like the old school like what was it? I think like web browser .open. You have to actually like type out the full command. But here, because it's Robot Framework, it actually wraps the Python. It makes it like a black box pretty much. So then now you actually transition over to the Robot Framework syntax, and all you need to do is saying, okay, so this is the method pretty much, and then these are the devil in the details. So you just say, hey, open browser, okay, and what URL, and which browser are we using, basically. And then standard stuff, go ahead and maximize it, or if you don't choose like not to maximize it, you have a very specific pixel size that you want, you can go ahead and do that also. And again, yeah, set your Selenium speed, delay, yeah, that's what I mentioned up here earlier. So yeah, I think, again, you're hosting it locally, so it should be relatively pretty powerful unless you're using a really old like 286 desktop system or something like that. All right, so then login page should be open. So that's how you assert that, okay, hey, I asked you to open the web browser, load the URL. Did it actually do it or not? So that's your assertion like right there. Okay, so and again, yeah, pretty much like rinse and repeat beyond that. So these are all of the keywords, all of the methods basically that you will call when you do your end-to-end testing pretty much. So you got your input password, over here you got your input username, go to the login page, so you go to Oh, that's the four-letter bad word, go to. But that is one of the syntax that we have in Robot Framework. So go to the login URL, and then login page should be open, and that's how it does the assertion to make sure, hey, did the page actually show up or not? Okay, so next one. Okay. All right. I thought I would have been faster, but no worries. All right. So let's go ahead and go watch we got a video, yeah. Okay, so again, this course is a local host, so this will run like super fast. Of course, real time, all of us who have like enough testing experience, we've seen like, yeah, it takes about a good few seconds. Well, hopefully not, then that's the performance issue. All right, let me go ahead and show you the automation of Selenium in action. All right, so we call the robot. Right there, boom. So it goes there, opens up. And again, like I mentioned, it tests, it goes really fast. And in the console itself, we'll go ahead and show you like what passed or what failed, basically. All right. And for this one, I believe this is the headless test. No, sorry about that. Next. Yeah, this is the headless test right here. So yeah, you won't see anything. You just go ahead and do the test, and you might see a little bump on the bottom here. Yep. So it went ahead and opened up Firefox in the background, did all the testing. This is the valid login, and that's it. All right. Let me go ahead and speed forward. So like I mentioned earlier, IoT. Yeah, so we can do like MQTT testing right there. And let's go ahead and have a look. So I actually use a public MQTT server, test.mosquito.org. And basically, I'm just going to send out a message in funky town topic. And it's going to go ahead and publish and subscribe, and verify that it gets the message back, basically. Yep. And again, that's the beauty of like more of like the command line stuff. It moves like so fast, and you don't have to worry about the elements. You just have to make sure you know your regular expression to know what you're expecting as the response, basically. And then, so again, anyone here who are testing like network, like T-Mobile, etc., a wireless modem router, etc., the key thing really is to make sure you have OpenWRT. Once you have OpenWRT, then you can SSH into the system, and then that's, again, it's all command line. You're going to do like ifconfig, check what your IP addresses are, check like RSRP, RSRI, signal strengths, etc., signal quality. Yeah, it's all command line, but just you got to make sure that the modem itself has OpenWRT, and then everything else is like command line beyond that. Let me go ahead and skip forward a little bit. Okay. Let me go ahead and showcase this one. So what I mentioned earlier, communication is key. So once you're done testing, you want to go ahead and tell, like, so this one is more of like the summary information. So this is good for your team lead or like CEO, etc., and say, hey, okay, so how long did it, when was it executed? So we at least have like a record of it. How long did it take to run, let's see, hour, minute, second. So it only took 1 second for the invalid login, and I think there were at least like 5 test cases right there. And then here it tells you how many of it passed, skip, and fail. So again, high-level summary on this one. Now, devil in the details, top right. So again, Robot Framework generated this HTML. You go ahead and click the log, boom. This is the devil in the details. And again, you'll have like this same stuff here, and if you put like tags and test suites, it'll show up over here. And here's the beautiful thing about it. You can go ahead and expand one at a time, or there's a little chevron here, expand all of them, boom. Nice. And what do you have? Screenshot. Pictures 1,000 words, so we got it. So again, Robot Framework does this for you. They will test everything, they'll compile this report, and if you have this on GitHub Actions, this can be an artifact. It spits it out onto GitHub as an artifact. All right. Oh, yeah, that's a nice one to see. So hope it's kind of clear. Yeah, so like what I mentioned earlier, you have to be a bit careful, because if one of the test steps fails, it actually trips on itself. So, but that's the beautiful thing. If you code it correctly in Robot Framework, you do the try catch or try except block. So as soon as it hits something, it will go ahead and fail it. And if you see up there, there's a little warning sign right there. So, yeah. So at least you know that, okay, looks like the test passed. Yeah, it says passed, but there was a warning. Look, we didn't expect like something to show up over there. And okay, last one, I think we can go through this one. So this one is a little bit of a cheat. I did fast forward certain areas because I was testing my app, my company's app from age 0 to 100. So So I'll try to be like brief on this because I'm sure there might be like questions and answers. So that's the pie chart, and then I just have Wiser mirroring it so we can actually see what's going on real time. So I'm not BSing everybody here. So yep, I'm testing the age from 0 to 100, male and female. I am testing terms of services, so I actually clicked it. Testing the privacy policy, all the text in there. So again, manually, if you're testing, you'd be like reading the terms of service, but now, who got time for that? Who has time for that? All right, so then, yeah, something interesting here. So age 0, and then you want to make sure the error is there. And, okay, so this part I kind of cheated a little bit. I edited the video, I fast-forwarded it a little bit. Yeah, I wish it was that fast. It's not that fast. But still, it's better than nothing. Yeah, so this part here, actually, we were supposed to see like age, anything from age under 16, we were supposed to see, hey, you have to be age 16 or older to register. And then, of course, this is even faster. Woo! Yeah, don't we wish the GUI was that fast, right? All right, now I'll just go and like skip forward a little bit. Yep, so this is age 100. Yeah, so it doesn't take what age 100, and then so that's it. Again, just proof of concept. Just want to like showcase, what a robot framework, like the different areas that robot framework can touch for automation purposes. And so looking forward, so this was a last-minute addition. Since actually I kind of feel like most of the topics here were AI, I thought like, oh shoot, I'm just talking about robot framework. So I thought I'd just go ahead and add this in. So what I hope and I would like to see, maybe something I might even explore myself, is that would be nice if I could use like AI basically to help me write the robot framework scripts, or at least like some like basics basically, and then go from there, be like a co-pilot. Even if not, depending on how closely as that QA is with development, sometimes we are not. So when they do changes, it breaks our automation. So it would be nice that if I can have AI go like, hey, okay, go open that app, look for all of the elements for me, and report back to me. And that actually would save like a huge amount of time. And then like beyond that, it would be nice if there's some way for AI to help like write additional test steps, which are less exploratory, let's monkey around, let's like type special characters, etc. in there. And, so that is it. Question and answers. Yeah. Go ahead. Uh-huh. So for the concurrent running, in general, let me see. So I haven't quite done this yet. We've only done it like once, so I'm not as experienced. But basically, what happens is that, so let's say if you have a robot framework on like the GitHub Actions, yeah, so it can go ahead and call out to all of the other like separate, let's say if you have an additional laptop or an additional mobile device, yeah, it will call out to those devices and say, hey, go ahead and test, X, Y, and Z. And it can do it like simultaneously, basically. Yeah, so like, pretty much, yeah. That's it, no questions? Oh, we have a question there, yeah.
How did you choose to use robot framework, and how did you try it out?
Good question. So a little bit of history of my automation journey. So I've done AutoAid, but AutoAid is Windows-based. It's Windows-specific. So either you use like the AutoAid script or you generate an exe. And of course, nowadays, we're everywhere. Windows, Linux, or Mac OS, basically. It's just by chance, actually, almost I would say like 4 or 5 years ago when I was at Denali, and somebody said like, hey, why don't you give a robot framework a try? And then like once when I got my hands on it, yeah, this is the result. I got like really like deeply entrenched into it. But at the same time, so I am still like looking at like Python automation, like natively like using Python to do like automation. I hope that kind of addressed your question. Okay, well, thank you very much, and I hope I didn't bore you to death. Take care.